Welcome to the Dell TIA Now booth at Mobile World Congress 2016. I'm Limor Schaffman, Director of Content Development here for TIA and TIA Now. And joining me today is Mike Short from Telefonica, Vice President of Public Affairs. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So Mike, you've had a long history with GSMA, being involved for 25 years now, and formerly a chairman. Heavily involved, of course, for the board, 7 years, et cetera, et cetera. You've seen a lot of changes. So what have you seen as the evolution over time, and what's striking you today?
When I first came to this event in 1990, it was mainly a conference, not an exhibition. And then some people said, do you mind if we put tabletops at the back of the room? This week they're talking about 100,000 visitors coming through the doors and over 2,000 stands. So it's much bigger in terms of scale. Mm-hmm. It's also serving an economy, not just the mobile operators, it's serving the digital economy. Mm-hmm. So there is something for everybody here today.
Right. And how about from a technological perspective, a lot of evolution happening very quickly, and also I think maybe, tell me if you found that in the past 5 to 10 years, has the technology sort of exploded even more than over the previous 15? What have you seen there?
Yeah, so the early years of mobile, it was very much voice, not anything else like data. And certainly accessing the internet was unheard of in the early 90s. But today you can access anything on the internet pretty well, and there are more and more video streams and discussions about healthcare than we ever would have expected. Clearly one of the things that the GSM Association have done is help to enforce standards which are vital to help to reduce the cost for customers, to make sure the handsets widen in choice, and to help achieve 2 billion handset sales a year.
So, with Telefonica, you're involved in some very important issues and topics that we're seeing here actually on the show floor. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing over there.
We trial lots of technology to make sure we're ready for our customers. Our customers want all sorts of things these days. So we've been trialing connected cars and driverless cars. We've got a major program rolling out smart metering in the UK for 20 million homes. We've also got lots of exciting things in the pipeline to do with video, some things to do with security. On our stand today, we've got a big IoT security initiative so we can protect those enterprises that need connected objects. There's plenty to do.
Absolutely. So let's talk about security. That's definitely a big topic here, and one that's of concern because now we're always dealing with increasingly things on the edge. The chain of security has expanded. Yeah. So what is Telefonica doing in that area? What can we expect?
So amongst other things, we bought a company called 11 Paths a couple of years ago, so we've integrated some of those security solutions. That's helping to add security for the enterprise. But we've also got some security initiatives to help online banking, online healthcare or access to health records, security solutions that will help the better use of wearables, where the wearables can transfer data securely to an electronic patient record. Security, I think, is a subject that needs to have a lot more debate because of that balance of security and privacy. But we believe in systems engineering, which includes security.
So you were talking about the health records and wearables. Sometimes those are still kind of kept separately. So clearly Telefonica is involved with bringing the different ecosystems together. So how do you see that? I mean, IoT is a sort of a swath that comes across everything. And I would anticipate that my wearables, let's say I've gone for a ride, my car is going to know that I just went running. It's going to say, okay, let's cool the water before she even comes back to the car. I expect these kind of things. So is that what you're seeing? Is that what Telefonica is working on also, that we're going to see this across all these industries, but a platform that can sort of unify all the opportunity?
I think we'd like to unify a lot of opportunities, but I think we take the components that exist, so let's say apps or wearables, put them together, see if they make a sensible system for the customer, see if it adds a real service. We work with some insurance companies, for example, who want to know more about the data transfer because they could maybe offer better insurance policies. We work with some car companies who want to have better energy management systems. We work with some energy companies who want to do smart home type solutions. We tend to put the components together into a system rather than doing it cross-sector, quite the way you described it.
Okay, and so the systems going forward. So right now, you're dealing with the immediate and really performing for the customers what they actually need right now. Yeah. But let's look out 5-10 years from now. What do you anticipate is going to happen from an IoT perspective? And again, what is Telefonica going to do in order to address those needs?
So I think we're seeing an explosion in connectivity, but an explosion in services. So roughly 8 billion people on cell phones today. We could see 50 billion connected devices and people by 2021, 5 years' time. That requires us to think about scale, but also cost and service and quality, reliability. So we're working on most of those things to try and make sure we can serve the customers in the right way. We need scale benefits to come through to the customer. We need reliable networks. We're looking at all sorts of technologies to help that.
In terms of what Telefonica, you were saying that there are a couple of trials. Anything that you can describe to us, any kind of really interesting things that you're also having some interesting learning that you can share with us?
So when we decided to do a trial for driverless cars, we thought that might be an interesting technical challenge. And we announced last year we're doing driverless car trials in London this spring. And the first phase of the trials will involve pods. Some people may have seen them at Heathrow Airport. They take you from the parking zone on a railway system to the airport. We're doing it without the rails, and we're putting sensors in to make sure that they don't crash into people. Safety is the first object. But it's interesting, some of the partners in that project are looking at things in a totally different way. So the insurance companies say, we're going to need the data to know who to write the policy, because if they don't have the right policy when there's no driver, how do they insure that car? How do they protect the public as well as the people in the car? And we'll also look at things like how do we keep people entertained when in the car, happy to be in the car without a driver. You know, it's a different experience. We have other trials in other areas, and we certainly have invested very heavily in some of the trials in 5G at the University of Surrey. That's a $100 million innovation center that we're investing in to try and do some of the earlier research through demonstration mode with small companies and large companies. You should come have a look.
I would love to come take a look. We'll do some interviews over there. That would be great. And in terms of 5G, when does Telefonica anticipate deploying?
We would expect trials to take place at the university in the next 2 years, different forms of trials. In addition to that, we would expect live service to customers from 2020. The research will inform the standards, which in turn will inform the deployment timescales. We might see some exceptions to that. So the Koreans have already talked about Olympic trials in 2018. I think there'll be interesting demonstrators. We might see other demonstrators in other countries as well. That's great.
Fantastic. Final word, Mike. We're now, let's say it's 2025. It's not even that far along. 2025, but we're sitting here again in 2025. What do you think is going to be the topic of the day at that time?
I think customer experience will still be the topic of the day, where we live so much more of our life on the internet, but it'll be more about how do you make that more convenient than it is today.
Wonderful. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here at TIA Now. Please be sure to see all our videos here from Mobile World Congress at tianow.org, and also see our Twitter feed and join our Twitter feed at TIA_now, and look forward to seeing you later. So long.